What's going on, ladies and gents? Your boy Gamma back with the lovely
Juju.
Oh yeah. And today we're talking about Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa. Are they staying together or will they get a divorce? Let's escape the Matrix. Welcome back, ladies and gents. If this is your first time here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the post notifications so you don't miss an episode. Now, Juju.
Yes, sir.
You know, in some of our other episodes, we talked about couples that may have been known for, drama, problematic issues. Some may even say ratchet.
Right.
But today we're talking about a couple that comes from a show that really highlights the success of black couples, black love. So this is a little bit different. This one feels different too.
Right.
We're talking about a couple from Married to
Medicine, yep.
Dr. Contessa and Scott. It looks like they are not having a good time and there is trouble in paradise.
Yeah.
Man, so what's the latest scoop? Where are they as of now based on what we know?
Well, based off of the previews that we're seeing, the clips, bits and pieces from Bravo, it looks like they're headed to divorce.
I don't know what y'all been talking about. Well, we talk as well. I mean, we may not communicate as well as we should all the time, but we communicate. She is me. I got her. She got me. We know that, and you know that. Do you know that? I know you know that.
Let her answer.
She knows that. She ain't got to answer.
Trouble in paradise,
Yeah,
right?
trouble in paradise, as you mentioned.
Not looking good.
No, not at all.
Right. And it's crazy because, Married to Medicine is one of those shows that we watched and you don't really feel too bad watching that, right? You don't feel the same kind of guilt you do watching some of the other ones. I'll just put it like that. I don't want to, we don't want to put anyone on the spot, but certain shows you watch and you're like, ooh, this is, it's like watching wrestling and just is out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Married to Medicine was one of those shows you would watch and you may even get inspired. You may be like, wow, this is cool. You're seeing couples do their thing.
Like power couples,
Power couples make, moving and shaking, especially if you're outside of Georgia. Yeah. These are the kind of shows that makes you want to move to Atlanta.
Right.
Put it
That's
like
true.
that, right?
Yeah,
so
does.
Dr. Scott and Contessa, it appears that they're not having financial troubles, right?
No.
Both of them are doctors. Is that
They
correct?
both are, right?
So we at least know that they're both doctors. In fact, the show is called Married to Medicine.
That's right.
And it's based out here in Atlanta. At least it originally started before it branched out out here in Atlanta. It highlights medical professionals, right? And it was really focusing on the wives. Now, even some of the wives are doctors themselves. You have Dr. Jackie, Dr. Heavenly, and a few other castmates as well. Yeah, so today we're talking specifically about Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa.
Right.
Yeah, so we're just going to give a quick assessment, go down memory lane based on when we first started watching the show up until now. Just focusing on Scott and Contessa. How would you describe their dynamic?
Very family orientated, right?
Yeah.
Oriented. And as far as their dynamic, their relationship itself between each other, to me, I felt like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like there was always an underlying tension there with each other. I mean, they would show, them together, smiling, kissing, but you would notice certain points they would almost you could tell maybe one was irking the other, so to speak. Right? And I mean, you could just quickly brush that off as, okay, they're married, you're not going to get along all the time 24/7.
Yeah.
But I just felt like there was just always something, I don't know, that there was just something there that kind of had some type of negative feel to it. Okay. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but obviously as, seasons played out, time played out, it manifested itself.
So, like you said, there was just something negative, going on. You just couldn't quite put your finger on it at the time, but now you're seeing it play out more, overtly.
Right.
And I think a lot of people would agree with that too. Leave a comment below if you guys agree with that assessment. Like if you've been watching the series, especially from the beginning,
right,
till
they
now,
came on,
because they came on, maybe a few seasons after
back,
it started,
right.
and up until now, did you get that same vibe? Because and I kind of agree, Juju, because it's not that. For example, somebody may say, you know what, you get on my nerves, right?
Yeah.
That's a statement that you can tell the vibe based on who's saying it and how it's being said.
Right.
Because you can say it in a playful way, like, you get on my nerves, man. But you can tell there's no real tension.
Right.
Versus like, yo, you get on my nerves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to describe. So and you guys kind of understand what we're saying. So it's not like we're nitpicking. You can just tell there was something there. Something deeper. And it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't positive. That's the real underlying thing.
So you felt the same way too,
right?
Like you kind of from the beginning.
Well, see, the thing I noticed the most with them, since both of them were doctors, because there are couples where one is like a homemaker taking care of the household,
right?
The other one is out in the field doing their thing. But since these two were doctors, they seem to be very high stress. Like, absolutely. I felt so much anxiety coming from them, especially Dr. Scott. And it's funny because I think in the very beginning, Contessa came off like she would be the one that would be high strung and full of anxiety and wound up. Like she came
she's
off.
A mother. She's right.
Even her energy in general. Like if I had to guess back then, I would have been like, yeah, that girl is overworked. She's stressed. She's going through a lot. Like she came off like that. Not that she was nasty or negative.
Right.
She just came off like the one that was overwhelmed. You know what I'm saying? Like she carried a lot of weight on her shoulders. And then, now that we are watching some of the later seasons or the up to where we are now, it's quite the opposite. Contessa is a little bit more subdued. Like she seems spent. Like she's exhausted. Yeah. She still has her moments where you could tell she feels very anxious and stressed, but now Dr. Scott is the one that seems very high strung, very tense. Like a lot of the scenes, it doesn't matter how romantic it looks, how pleasant it's set up. He has this look, man. I mean, we're probably gonna have to show it on the screen for you guys to know.
It's all in the eyes,
right? And it's crazy because again, it goes back to what we were just saying. He might say the right things. Right. But you don't get that vibe. You don't feel the authenticity. So he could be telling the girl, like, his wife, I'm here for you. I got your back. I love you. But you're looking at him like, and more importantly, you're looking at her. Yes. Like, yeah, she's not even buying that.
She is me. I got her. She got me. We know that. And you know that. Do you know that? I know you know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
and
she knows,
that's what we've noticed. And, again, guys, let us know if you've picked up on that as well. If you guys follow the show, you definitely should know what we're talking about. But it is kind of sad and tragic to see where they are now. But we can't really say surprising. And that's what we're talking about. We're breaking down, how things may have led to where they are.
I mean, you mentioned that it always seemed like she had the weight on her shoulders, that, and it played out that she just came off just spent energy wise, right?
Yeah, exhausted.
And for good reason, because if you think back, her father, right? Alcoholic,
I remember that. He was on the show.
Wasn't there or present in her life growing up much.
Yeah.
Right? Her mom, who passed from, I believe, breast cancer. Wow. She having her own scare with that and having to do a surgery to remove, her breast.
And you know what? Just to, don't mean to cut you off, but let's kind of talk a little bit more about her father.
Okay.
Contessa comes off as a woman that really exerts herself. Like overwhelmingly exerts herself. And of course she's a medical professional, so she cares about others. Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to interject about at least elaborate a little bit more about the father.
Right, okay.
She didn't really put out resentment or hate. And that's something to think of. Like a lot of times when a parent is absent and it's because of something they're doing, like drug abuse or neglect, they're out there in the streets, violence, whatever the case is, it's very easy for the child to develop resentment, which often leads to hate, because you're a child. You deserve to be taken care of.
Exactly.
So Contessa is dealing with her adult father. She's an adult now, and she's still having to carry the load that he should have been prepared to handle and carry on his own. And, not for nothing, she probably wasn't really getting a lot of advice, encouragement, love, and things like that a father who, you know, was free of any kind of ailments would be able to give.
That's
and
true.
I just wanted to highlight that because it reveals her character, her strength.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't putting her father out there like on Front Street.
No.
She didn't talk down to him. She didn't say, you know, he's an idiot. He's out there in the streets. He's an alcoholic. So I just wanted to highlight that because it goes back to what we were saying, that she carries a lot.
So talk to me a little bit about like your mom.
She got sick the first time though when she was 20. I think she was like 25 or 26.
And who was her caregiver?
Us. Me and my brother and my sister, kind of. My dad was, yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
Like I can't rely on anybody. Still feel like that, I think.
It's only so much anyone can carry, no matter how big your heart is.
Yeah.
When you're consistently giving and giving and giving and giving, and then you wind up in a marriage where your life partner doesn't hold their weight, or at least, again, we got to talk about the love languages. They don't understand your needs.
Right.
That's usually when you give in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember there was just to add to what you were saying, there was like a clip or a part where she was speaking to her therapist. And, you know, she was saying that how she just felt like, as the middle child,
right,
she always had to be like the peacemaker, like just making sure one was good. And, you know,
avoid drama. She didn't want to be problematic.
She didn't want to be problematic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she just was never given, I forgot the exact words that she used, but pretty much like she's used to going without.
Yeah,
right?
In other words,
right?
she never really had a shoulder to cry on.
Right.
She couldn't really count on anyone.
Right.
She couldn't depend on anyone. And that's what happens.
Deep. Yeah.
Often when you are the person that gives,
right,
you find yourself feeling alone. Even though there's a lot of people around you, most of the time they're just recipients of what it is you're giving. It could be time, effort, energy, money, love. It could be a lot of things. If you're constantly giving and you're not being filled back up, or no one is reciprocating, you're gonna feel like the way she described in that in that session with the therapist.
Right. That is so
I
true.
did pick that up too.
Yeah. So like, again, rightfully so, in terms of her having that like weightiness of it. And, so you have all of that you're carrying with you.
Yeah.
But you could tell she's putting her best foot forward for her kids, for her family. Right. Because even that same mindset that she had growing up, obviously that is there, that she has that same mindset within her marriage, right?
Yeah.
Things could be going left and right, but she's still trying to hold it down. Keep in mind, she was in the army, the military?
Yeah.
She was
her husband in it too? I can't recall. Oh. I don't know if he has a background.
I know they met very young, in their early 20s.
Right.
So they may have
a similar background in
right,
that.
Or they
she
met
was definitely in it.
Right. Yeah, I know she was definitely in it, but I believe he was, but I know they met at a very young age, right? So they do have a lot of history together. So yeah, this is a woman who's very well traveled. She has, a background on her, right?
Right.
When it comes to her childhood and all just what she's been through, losing her mom, her father, being alcoholic, like a lot. So, for me, going back to like what we were discussing earlier, or the point we highlighted earlier, was that what was that? Like in the very beginning, there seemed to always be something there. And that's what it really was. Like it unfolded itself, when she was telling her story, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why, like, again, when these announcements are made, and it hasn't been confirmed at the time of this video.
No.
It hasn't been confirmed, but there's also no denying or denial of it as of yet.
Yeah.
We've only been getting a little preview of the, what is it called?
The reunion that's coming up.
Yeah, the reunion. So Married to Medicine reunion, we've gotten a few highlights where it clearly looks like that's the road they're going down.
They touched on it.
Right, divorce.
Yeah, divorced,
And so we just want to kind of explain how these things look and why they may have transpired the way they transpired. But we're not going to ignore the elephant in the room.
And what's that?
It's not just that the love languages weren't being spoken and she just had it up to here and gave up, because Contessa is a fighter. She's a rider.
Absolutely.
That woman, like, she's Look, man, Contessa comes off like a woman that knows how to keep pushing and keep going, fighting against odds and persevering.
Because she's been through it all.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think what was the final straw for her, based on the very last episode, was actually having other people now in her marriage. And by other people, she actually called them out for having women in his phone, naked women.
Did Scott, in fact, have photos of nude women on his phone? And did you find out who they were?
I think, well, I'm gonna let him answer that question.
But he's not here.
He's not
I'm
here.
asking you.
We were still married, and so there are some things that I'm not
there's a
supposed
level
to
of
share.
protection there.
Yeah, there's a level of protection.
Oh,
But yeah,
interesting.
but I found a lot of inappropriate things on my husband's phone.
Also, it appeared based on some exchanges they had that he was responding to them.
Yeah.
He was even requesting, because she said something to the, something along the lines of like, you're asking for these pictures.
Yeah.
And he was just like not saying anything. He wasn't even
Right.
giving her any closure and explanation, and more importantly,
Right.
no truth.
Right.
So you take everything we just discussed, which, is only a fraction of what they were going through for the last few years, right?
Right.
And then you add that in it. That's like, wow. I'm already feeling, if you're looking
A
at
lot
it
of
from
salt in the
Contessa's,
wound. Yeah.
yeah, if you're looking at it from Contessa's point of view, it's like, I'm already drained.
Yeah.
I'm already exhausted. I don't feel love. I don't have the support that I want and need.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing where your attention is going. That's like, that's difficult, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, ladies that are watching this, what do you think of Contessa's behavior right now? Like, should she have left like a few years ago, or do you think there's a way to salvage this? Like, what are your thoughts? We like to know, and even fellas too. Like a lot of times when we watch shows like this, we just fall back and observe. But there's a lot of men out there, like myself, who observe, and we don't just always side with the men just because of a bro code. We do have a certain level of respect, honor, tradition, standard that should be upheld. And so when I see that, I'm a little mad at Scott. I'm like, dag, dog, come on, man. Like, you can't, it's one thing, you're not being satisfied, but you should move in a way that still shows some level of respect and honor. So we need answers, Scott.
I mean, listen, as a woman, as a wife, it's like, I'm just surprised that she hasn't had a full-on breakdown, meltdown, and just blasting him left and right, like regardless of cameras, right?
Yeah.
Because again, this woman has been through so much, right?
Yeah.
And she clearly, through the episodes, through the seasons, like, she's trying to hold her family together. Right. And, and it's like she's pleading with her husband to like just get her.
Yeah.
Like, please, like, just understand. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of parts when he talks, I'm just like, no, you're missing the complete picture. Like, please just like get out of your head and just think of your significant other. Like, where she try to put yourself in her shoe, right? To understand where she's coming from, because I'm telling you, she has been fighting for a while for their relationship.
And that's why, again, we said at the very beginning, this one is a little difficult and it's sad. You know what I'm saying? It's very sad. Because like you said, they have been fighting. She has been really trying to keep the marriage together. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of dirt she could have threw on his name. There's a lot of things she could have revealed. And most of the time when you're hurt, when you're angry, you say things you don't mean. You say things that may not be able to be substantiated. You're just talking, out of anger, right? She doesn't strike me as that type. Like, she really never put him out there like, oh, well, I don't know what you were doing and blah, blah, blah. And you're running the streets and you come home late. She doesn't do that. Like, so she seems like a woman that has a lot of respect.
Absolutely.
Even when he wasn't deserving of it.
Right.
She has a lot of honor. And that's why I'm really bothered by this. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if, like, you got two young and dumb people doing crazy, dumb things.
Right.
You can't really make sense of this. But this type of situation is where I look at it and say, man, like, again, the love language is so important.
Yeah.
You have to understand your partner's wants, needs, and desires.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, you got to care about your partner.
Yeah.
Not in a generic way, like, I like you, and so I'm going to treat you nice.
Yeah.
But that word empathy, one of the best descriptions I've ever heard of it was your pain in my heart. That's when you really understand someone else's issues. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you and like you said, Juju, when spouses speak about their pain,
Right.
before they even finish, the other person usually is already on the defense.
Oh, my
Even when they're
goodness,
not being
yeah.
accused of causing the pain, they're listening.
Right.
Like, yo, just like what would you, like they're listening from a defensive standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
what you trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't do that. What you trying? And
Her husband.
they're missing the point, man.
Yeah.
You gotta allow the person to vent, even if they
That's
are
her
accusing
husband.
you. Take
Yeah.
time to see if there is something you could have done differently,
Yeah.
better, or just listen.
Yeah. No, I mean, you are so right when it comes to that because, with Scott, he absolutely, like when you listen to him, like you could tell he's listening to her from a defensive standpoint,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He can't hide it. It's
Yeah,
all written in his face.
all over. I mean,
Yeah.
there are points
He's like-
where, right? I mean,
He's like, tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. It's crazy.
no, it
Awful.
is. It's so intense. I mean, listen, the point you just highlighted about how much this woman has so much like respect and just honor for her marriage.
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene, one of the recent episodes where they were still on Jekyll Island, and then it was, who was it? It was Heavenly and Quad who came into the room, and I remember they were sitting down with her, and they called Scott over.
Yeah.
They called the husband over, and they basically confronted him with the question regarding the therapist.
Right.
Remember, it was the therapist who he hasn't paid, but it was a female therapist.
Yeah.
And, mind you, Bravo caught this like in real time when Contessa and her husband, like they were talking about it amongst each other in their home, right? When she confronted him. But so they flash back to that, and he basically says, no, never a woman. Like it was some name. What was it? Like Kevin or Keith
Johnson or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And they were like, if I haven't heard a made up name for that.
Should have been like Keith Richards. He almost said Michael Jackson. He just like threw two names out there randomly. Yeah.
And mind you, he's giving this response, right? And they know, the girls, Heavenly and Quad, know that Contessa told them it was a woman.
Right.
And what was Contessa's reaction? She was just quiet. Yeah. She was just shaking her head. She looked at him and she was just like, and then they said, wait, is this true? And she said, this is the first time I'm hearing this, but again, she has many times that she could just go off on this man, and she doesn't. You could tell she's still trying to keep it together. She's keeping it together for more so even just the sake of her kids, right?
Well, yeah. See, they built the life together.
Yeah.
This is not a situation that was a fly by night. Overnight, whirlwind romance, and they just move too fast. This is like they probably have close to 2 decades under their belt in terms of the time
they're in their 40s
to when
met in the early 20s.
Scott is 50. He just turned 50, or he might be in his 50s, I believe. But either way, they probably known each other since they were in their late 30s. I mean,
20s,
late
early
30s,
20s.
Yeah, or early 20s.
Early 20s.
So we're talking couple decades at least.
Yeah.
So they built a life together, and it's not easy to just leave something like that. It's not about being weak or strong, and also some people truly respect their marital vows. We always overlook that. People are so quick to be like, girl, I'll leave, or dudes to be like, yo, if a woman even talk back, I'm leaving.
That's true.
Look, for better or for worse, but there are certain violations that allow you to sever those marital ties.
Absolutely.
Like if they're no longer respecting the vows at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got to tip my hat off to Contessa.
Absolutely.
And at this point, Scott.
Throw bouquets
Dr.
of flowers.
Scott. Dude, if you watch this, if you somehow get a hold of this video, get help ASAP. Like, he needs to learn the love languages.
Yeah.
He needs to humble himself.
Yes.
He needs to put aside his feelings just for a moment and truly listen to your wife, because he doesn't do anything that shows that he has any kind of genuine interest in her. Like, he doesn't paraphrase what she says to show her that he's listening. He doesn't
No.
Acknowledge what she says. You know what I'm saying? Like even that, like most of the time when you see them having exchanges, he just says something like to kind of quickly shut down what she's saying, change the topic, or he'll speak for her. Yeah. Like, no, you good. I'm here for you. You know that. You know.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to talk to someone.
She is me. I got her. She got me. We know that, and you know that. Do you know that? I know you know that.
You know, even though you're crying about something, I'm telling you, you know that's not true.
Yeah. What do you...
Like, that's crazy.
What do you make of that scene when they were on the beach on Jekyll Island? And remember that, like, everyone was sitting down at the table, and then Heavenly basically was like, we got some questions for you. And he was like, already? Basically, you know, with on the salads, you guys got questions for me, you know? And But do you remember how that played out? Like his reaction and how Contessa was so... Oh my gosh, my heart was breaking for her. Like how she was just trying to hold it together, but she couldn't.
She started crying. She actually broke down. Yeah. That scene reveals one of the strongest or biggest issues they have in their marriage.
Oh my goodness.
Communication. Yeah. Seriously. You know, when we talk about love language, we're talking specifically about that. Like that type of communication. Emotionally communicating. Not just saying words at each other, but understanding each other's feelings and listening and caring about each other's feelings. You know, yes, people say marriage is a business, but it's not just a business.
No.
You can marry someone and, you know, all of a sudden your network goes higher and you have more success and your credit score and all. I get that, but it isn't just a business. I don't like when people put that out there as though like you can just blindly marry anyone, and if they're a great business partner, they somehow they're going to be a great marriage partner.
Right.
And so with that said, it reflects the poor communication that they have, and specifically seeing how Contessa was the one crying. Yeah. It is lopsided in that direction. But when you have one person saying everything is all good.
Yeah.
And saying like, you know, we've been through worse, we're going to be, it reflects like he doesn't feel what she's feeling. Right. And what she's feeling isn't good. If they both were fighting back and forth, then I would say they both are missing each other. I think primarily he's missing her. Right. And he's assuming it's not as bad as it is when it really is much worse. Oh, absolutely. You hit it right there on the nail because, you know, like even the people, I think it was like Heavenly and, it was like Quad and Heavenly and it was another person who was saying that how, like basically you may feel like everything is good, but she clearly doesn't. Exactly. Right? Yeah. And I mean... it was just such an uncomfortable scene. I just remember that it was just so, because the way he spoke to her, it was like so intense. Like basically like, you know, I love you. Like, you know, like I got you. And it was just like, how is this loving and reassuring? No affection whatsoever. How? No compassion. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think that's one of the things he struggles with too. It wasn't just that scene. I think in general, that's how he comes off to her a lot. Especially with the cameras there, all the friends there, her you know, her colleagues and everyone. Yeah. For him to do that, imagine what happens in private. When the camera's off. You know, he's probably far more intense because if he's not even subdued and able to be, you know what, let me cool off, let me be calm, collected. If he doesn't even have that wherewithal, imagine when he's just like letting loose at home. He's probably screaming that he's there for her. Yeah. Like he's probably almost... Like, what are you he's reassuring her using words of love and togetherness while he's displaying violent behavior. Seriously. Right. It's not cool and it's not even funny, but we just, you know, I feel like, not to cut you off, but I feel like him in that moment, it was what it came off to me was that I can't believe you're doing this. Yeah. Like you're telling people, you know, my business or our business. Which, okay, yes, rightfully so, right? Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be, like, going around telling people, you know, your business, what's going on between you and your significant other like that. But clearly, he has not been getting it for a very long time. And that was probably her way of just trying to get help. Like, the fact that she told her friends and knew that they were going to talk to him was like a last ditch effort of like help, like clearly, please. Right. That was a final plea. But he was not. He still didn't get it. He was not like, he was just like
like I am pissed that this is on camera, right?
Yeah.
And like we're really doing this in, amongst these people. So it was nothing loving, reassuring at
no
all.
Compassion. That's
Nothing.
all you got from him was just that defensiveness.
And in that moment when they walked away from the table, if you remember, Contessa was like, "I'm sorry."
Yep.
Even in that moment,
she was doing what she told the therapist she's always had to do as a little girl.
Right.
She's still trying to be the peacemaker.
Yeah.
Still apologizing for things she shouldn't be sorry for.
Right.
And that's sad, man. That really weighs on someone. It doesn't matter how genuine you are, how big your heart is.
Yeah.
There's only so much of that you can take if you are not being replenished. And I think she's about drained, man. She doesn't have any love left.
Like, I don't want to like bash him, like, oh, he's a man. He's like, I know he has his story, right? Like he has, one thing just came to my mind was that he is like the youngest of 10 kids. And his mom was a stay-at-home mom. Right. And I know that was one of the things that she also was repeating to everyone, on the show, that, he wants me in this role. Right. But she's like, the profession that I'm in and that I'm pursuing, right, like this is very near and dear to me, like health, right? Because of her mom, because of her dad. So like, I just feel like, yes, love language, absolutely, but also like just a very deep, genuine understanding of one another is missing.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the connection. They're missing each other because you can understand someone's love language,
right?
But still, just don't speak it. You know what I mean? Like just because you know someone's love language and vice versa doesn't mean you're gonna have the ultimate connection.
Right.
You still have to have certain elements work out and play out.
Right.
Being there, showing up.
Right.
Showing and proving you care for someone. Like, and that's also important. So with all of that, Juju,
right.
I don't know, man. Is there any hope for Scott? Let me put it like that.
I mean, I don't know. It's like question mark. Because if he just really does the work, and I feel like a therapist is absolutely critical at this point.
Yeah.
Because even though they're talking about divorce or they're like along the lines of divorce, I mean, people could bounce back.
Yeah.
So.
And we've seen it. I think. Nene's still married to Greg, right?
They got remarried.
Right. Matter of fact, sticking to the show we're talking about, there were several couples on this same show, same season that had serious issues.
Jackie.
Right. They were like in a doghouse. They were sleeping in different houses. They were like on the verge of like divorce, right?
Yeah.
And in some cases, they bounced back completely. They did the work. They forgave each other. They repented if they were the one that caused the chaos. Yeah. So of course there's a chance things can always work out.
Right.
But with someone like Scott, right?
Yeah.
Not having any kind of accountability.
Yes.
Any type of compassion.
My goodness.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking. And I want them to work out. They have I think it's like about 3 beautiful kids. Like they have
3 children.
I want them to work out, but like what you said, it's like it's such a disconnect there.
It is. So guys,
yeah,
let us know what you think. Seriously, if you follow this series, you know exactly what we're talking about because this is like current. The reunion I believe is happening this weekend or this week. So let us know what your thoughts are, man. Do you think they can work it out? Do you want them to work it out? And is there anything that we didn't touch on that you felt like should be considered as well? We'd love to know your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you think about what we share. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe, post notifications so you don't miss another episode. And until next time, escape the Matrix.